So let's take a moment before it's time. We can chant it just for fun.
We're assuming that you probably have seen John Wick 1 and 2. So I'm curious, tell us about John Wick 3, because it is a unique experience from what I understand.
Oh man, John Wick 3, honestly, I think that movie made more in its opening weekend than the other two movies combined in their opening weekend. It's amazing. And the very first podcast that we did, like a year ago now, was about John Wick 3 and how Martin Coscos was going to be in it. And so he does not disappoint, right? He's in the movie, and again, I can't really spoil this film because you're not going to it for a character, for plot twists or whatever like that. I mean, they're there, but you're going for something different. The action sequences are amazing, beautifully shot, beautifully lit. The set pieces, everything. There's even a fight scene in a kind of an antique warehouse, and the antiques they have are like antique weapons. It's amazing. It is awesome, and it also highlights a certain level of realism because at a certain point these dudes are like chucking knives at each other, right? But not all of them are actually going blade in. Some of them are just kind of bouncing off because of the handle. And that's how it is in real life. You're not going to have that perfect throw. And so,
especially not in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm going to chuck everything at you and hope something sticks. And if it does, awesome, I'm going to do it again because that blade is still in there.
Right.
And so the movie is phenomenal. Like I said throughout the other ones, they gave John Wick a reason to kill everybody, and that's what he does, and he kills everybody, and it's beautiful. The interesting thing, the thing that I picked up on was the lack of judo in the first, majority of the film. Like in John Wick 2, and even in John Wick 1, there's a whole lot of sequences where he's doing judo, and it's specifically judo because he's grabbing dudes by the collar of their jacket, and he's got a lot of really well-dressed villains that he takes out. Like cannon fodder guys are really we're suit and tie kind of people.
Well, let's deviate here for a second. So what is the main difference between judo and jiu-jitsu? Painting with a very, very broad brush. Jiu-jitsu is about being on the ground and about submissions. Judo is about standing up and taking your opponent to the ground. Again, very broad brush. But that's going to be kind of the distinction why we're saying judo as opposed to jiu-jitsu. So.
Right, and it's very much the use of the gi, and you got to trace back some of the, I think you even talked about this in the first one, you got to trace back some of the martial arts to why the people are throwing other people face up and not face down, and it has to do with the Japanese culture, and I guess not dying face down, being face up and looking at your opponent when you kill them, but they would throw them, pull out a little dagger and stab them, and most of their opponents would have the armor, and so it'd be like a beetle on their back, right? They can't get up as quickly, and so that's kind of the context of why they would throw them on their back. But John Wick does the very same thing. He just doesn't use a sword, he uses a pistol. So he would throw somebody, pick up a pistol and go bang, bang, bang. So it's very close range. They're already on the back. Let me shoot them, and I know I'm not going to miss because I'm like that, And so it's very similar. So it's used in the right context, but it is very much judo because of the gi. There are certain things that you can do with that you can't do with no gi.
Or are very much harder.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be that one person in the comment section that's going to be like, you can totally do that without a gi. Yes, you're right, but...
You can't do it very well, and you can't do it in the context of that where somebody is resisting and doesn't want to do it and countering whatsoever.
And you've got 9 other things happening.
But like I said, in the first couple of movies, you can make it a drinking game for the most part, but in this one, if you were to make it a drinking game, throughout the entire film, you'd be like, oh, there's a throw, shot. There's a throw, shot. 10 minutes later, shot. 20 minutes later, shot. Then the second to the last fight scene, they just judo throws everywhere. He just goes insane. They literally doubled the amount of judo throws in that one fight scene than they did in the entire movie. So you go from occasional shot to, oh, let me get the bottle, guzzle, 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 guzzle. Is he still going? Crap, guzzle, guzzle, guzzle. Oh man, it's out. Where's all the rum gone? Boom, and it's just
And Michael was never seen again.
Exactly. That if you do that, don't do that unless you have beer and you're over 21. I'll just preface that. because that will mess you up. There's a crap ton of judo in that last little bit, and then I think there are 2 throws in the last fight scene. And I'm counting mostly John Wick. I think I counted Halle Berry did 1. They focused a lot on her. That's probably like a 5-minute fight scene of her and her dogs and John Wick. And the thing is that like John Wick is there and he's doing his thing, but they don't focus on him. It's like the 2 go in here and then he goes off and they just stick with her throughout the entire thing. And it's hilarious and just awesome. And it's totally like I read in production that she cracked or broke 2 ribs, and during that fight scene, there's a couple of moments where I can see, I'm like, yeah, I can believe that, doing that the way she did, because she's not as polished with some of the stuff that John Wick is. That's like the difference. Like everyone has to have their own particular fighting style.
Well, she and I don't know who Keanu Reeves trained with the first 2 movies. In the 3rd movie, she and Halle Berry and Keanu Reeves trained with some Tennessee judokas called the Collier brothers.
I think they trained with them for the first one as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're starting to gain some notoriety. I'm enjoying it. I don't know the Collier brothers personally or professionally, but they're a little notorious on like Bullshido and other networks because they, I think they just made it up. Like on some Thursday afternoon, they're like, hey, we're going to make a judo style. And they made a judo style, and it's really good. So
it comes back to the human body can only move in so many different ways, and so you're going to have a lot of the same things, just with different names.
It's just,
but there are some things that are very clearly judo, especially in the second film. There's something, if you look closely, they do what I call the judo hop, where it's like they're bouncing and then he throws them, right? And that is very specifically judo. It's the only place I've ever seen that is in judo classes and tournaments and stuff, where they grab the colors of the gi and they're using the gi and shuffling and everything in the movement to throw them and get them off balance. And so that is very prevalent in there. That's why I think it's the martial art he does predominantly is judo. Now they mix in some eskrima.